Good afternoon, everybody. We've got ourselves some breaking news in the form of a roster move made by the Seattle Seahawks, hot off the presses just a few minutes ago. Not unexpected, but nevertheless discussion worthy. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. First, though, real quick, I want to remind everybody that tonight is going to be the Hawks Nest stream, talking Seahawks with the Hawks Nest. We're going to talk about the Geno extension. We're going to talk about the Combine. We're going to talk about some of the other little things that's happened over the last week. So, going to be my channel tonight. Going to be this channel that you are currently on, 7 o'clock Pacific. Hope to see you there. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about the latest Seahawks news, and hope you're there to participate. All right, so here's the news. The Seahawks have made a couple of releases today. They have let a couple players go, one of which is relatively low profile, but the other pretty high profile, if only because of the money we are now saving. The Seahawks have released veteran guard Gabe Jackson. We all kind of knew it was coming, especially after we re-signed Phil Haynes, but now it's official. Gabe Jackson is out of here, saving $6.5 million in cap space. Significant savings. Most of it was absorbed by the Phil Haynes one-year deal, but there's still a little bit left over from that as well, which you could say covers the cost of the first year of Jason Myers or the Nick Bellore deal. However you want to look at it, that's of course that's how it works in the NFL. You save some money here, and then you spend that money in other places. So Gabe Jackson's release has, by some definitions, covered for the Phil Haynes contract plus the first year of the Nick Bellore contract. That's one way to look at it anyway. So Gabe Jackson is gone. It was a decent couple of years with him, I guess. He was pretty good that first year. I thought he played all right. I thought he did well, especially as like a run blocker. Last year, things kind of deteriorated. He couldn't stay healthy for one. His knee just flared up and he couldn't get away from it, and you get what you get. It didn't make any sense to keep him around anymore on his relatively sizable last year of his contract, and the bottom line is I seriously doubt you're going to get worse play from Phil Haynes at this point, especially given the fact that Gabe was probably only going to diminish in quality. So there was no reason to keep him around, and it seems like the team aligns with the general common sense thoughts about that. So long, Gabe Jackson. Probably going to retire now, if I had to guess, right? Who's going to want to sign a guy who can't even finish a game anymore because of his knee issues? Probably done with his NFL career. Now, this leaves the Seahawks with basically no depth at the guard spots. We've got Damian Lewis starting probably on the left, Phil Haynes probably starting on the right, and that's okay. But what do you have behind those guys right now? You've got Jake Curhan, who is a natural tackle. You've got Kyle Fuller, who is worse at guard than he is at center, which is saying something. Like, you don't really have any actual guard depth. And by the way, Kyle Fuller, actually, now that I think about it, is a free agent at the moment, or about to be a free agent anyway, so he doesn't even count. So this is an area the team is going to have to find a way to address, probably in free agency and the draft. Maybe UDFA as well. Maybe this is something that's going to be easy to take care of at the end of the offseason, where like you just go through the pile of whoever's left after the first 5 waves of free agency, and then you just say, okay, who wants to play for the vet men? But you're going to have to do something. You are going to have to do something there, and whatever you do is going to have to be at least significant enough to patch the hole for a year. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. Odds are whoever you get is not really going to be that much worse than Gabe was last year. Gabe did not play that well. He had moments of competency, but it didn't make up for the moments of bad play, and it certainly didn't make up for the fact that he couldn't finish a game. So, saving $6.5 million here, we also had a second release. Ben Burr-Kirven has been released, and that's a guy who's been battling injuries for a couple years now. That's a guy who, I don't know if his career is ever going to come back. Not that he had a big career to begin with. He was a special teamer in reserve. But the fact that this Seahawks team is in such desperate straits at the inside linebacker position, and they're still releasing a guy like BBK, tells you that his medicals are probably not coming back very well right now. So Ben Burr-Kirven was released, and that release clears $940,000. So that's basically enough for not a lot, right? That's not even $1 million. That's enough for like a UDFA. That's enough for like a 7th round or 6th round draft pick. But every little bit counts. And at the end of the day, if Ben Burr-Kirven wasn't going to be able to make meaningful contributions to the Seahawks anymore, then he had to go. But obviously, as a former UW star, as a guy who was a good special teamer, it is too bad that things went this way. Ben Burr-Kirven had a place in the NFL, and then the injury just made it so that he didn't. But yeah, making some roster moves. I think that there are going to be some more coming. There may be some where we're trying to renegotiate before we release. Maybe we're trying to get certain players to agree to some reduced contract before we actually let them go. But I imagine this is the first of many moves. And one thing I will say concerning the Ben Burr-Kirven release is this does highlight how clearing the bottom of your roster clears up cap space. When training camp starts and the preseason's going all the way into the start of the preseason, you've got 90 players on your roster. And each one of those players takes up at least like $750,000 because that's the minimum contract. Ben Burr-Kirven was slightly over the minimum because he was a draft pick and he was on that rookie deal still. But every player on your roster during camp is counting against the cap. And every time you release a player to get to the 53-man roster limit, you're clearing anywhere from, say, $750,000 to in some cases you're clearing a lot. If you're releasing somebody who's making a lot of money, then you're clearing millions and millions of dollars. But the point I'm trying to make here is this illustrates that when you're clearing your roster and you're getting rid of the guys at the bottom who have no bonus money, no guaranteed money, they just have like their base salary of $750,000 roughly. Every time you make one of those releases, it helps. And by the time you get down to 53 players, you've saved tens of millions of dollars just clearing the minimum contract guys. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at the Seahawks salary cap right now. We have guys like Ben Burr-Kirven who there's no way they're going to make the active roster. Guys who are even less likely to make the final roster than BBK was. You've got like the guys we gave futures contracts to. You've got guys like, I don't know if John Radigan's going to be able to make it or not. I don't know if Cade Johnson makes it, at least for the week 1 starting roster. You've got guys like, what's the guard's name? If Shamarius Gilmore is still around, that guy's never going to make the 53-man roster. So each release that you make, even of a nothing player, a player who has never done anything, was never expected to do anything, is making $750,000. You do that over and over and over again for 20 plus players. You're clearing $20 million. So keep that in mind when you're trying to sort out what is happening with the salary cap. All right, so that's the news. Gabe Jackson out of here, clearing $6.5 million. Ben Burr-Kirven out of here, clearing $940,000. We'll see what else comes. There might be more stuff coming later today. We still need to know the exact details of the Geno Smith contract, but this is most certainly a start. It is a step in the right direction. I'm good with it, and I think most Seahawks fans are going to be pretty good with it too. I don't think there's going to be a lot of tears shed over releasing Gabe Jackson. See you guys later. See you tonight in the stream. Go Hawks.